Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Cali, Colombia, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, and welcome to Makeover Monday. And tell him Kaustubha's birthday. I was like, what? No, it's Kaustubha's birthday, everybody. Kaustubha, welcome to the 56 Club.
Thank
Me
you.
and Kaustubha, imagine, I have this theory that people who are connected, like you and me, they must have met maybe before they were even born. Like our mothers were like shopping in Pathmark or some like grocery store, and they talked. I'm like, "You're pregnant? How many months are you? How many months are you?" Because we're basically 9 months. Our parents were our mothers were 9 months pregnant at the exact same time. It's pretty fascinating,
So
isn't it?
I'm sorry. So that logically, how does that logically connect to them knowing each other?
You know, I just had this.
Do we gather all the pregnant women together in one spot, like in the world, or what? What kind of theory?
If you hang
is
out
this?
with them,
What do
But
mean?
I had this weird thing before I was married. I lived in the exact same neighborhood with my wife twice, 2 different neighborhoods, and I probably ran into her, talked to her. Maybe said hi to her.
Well, you did
randomly.
run into her and talk to her.
No, before we were.
You ended up. I don't understand.
I was like, I like you. Can I marry you? But I'm just thinking we might travel with people. You know how we travel with
In
people from
previous
other
lives.
births?
In previous.
I know, but maybe in this birth, we're just like, for example, what was the thing you said? You said you were somewhere. And I was like, I wonder if I was there. Like,
in Australia.
She was in Australia when I was in Australia. And I was thinking, imagine if
It's a big country,
just-
Raghunath.
I know
Australia
it's a
is
very
really
big country,
large.
but I'm just saying, just imagine what if we actually had an interaction, talked, or just crossed each other's path. Maybe like the universe is trying to bring souls closer and we're still fighting it. And then finally there's some internal surrender and then you're with that person. That's what I'm starting to think now. I'm finding life to be quite miraculous, birthday boy.
You see, I was born in Indiana. I wasn't born in New York.
Oh, forget it. My mom's never been there. Oh, here's one for you.
Yeah.
Here's the song that destroyed my career. Ready?
Oh, you're gonna go to your singing. This is your ska song.
It was a ska song. Yeah, I don't know where I got the bright idea to do a ska song.
This
but
is like a birthday.
it's called
special
"Alone on
birthday
My Birthday."
performance? Okay.
It's alone. It's actually a deep philosophical song, my friend. It's about I was alone on my birthday when I was writing our record, and I was just like, "This sucks. Why does it suck to be alone on your birthday?"
Why
now, you're
were you
not
alone?
alone on your birthday, but I got to reflect on this.
But first,
wanna
tell me
hear-
why you were alone. Like you had friends and everything. What's going on?
I was just home alone. My girlfriend was out of town, and I was just alone writing song.
All right, let's hear it.
That's my story. Okay. I'm not going to read the whole state, but I said, because I'm self-absorbed, I get upset, mad at the world. How could they forget? I was alone at birth. I'll be alone at death. Hope I won't be alone at my final destination. Birth's a costume with a genetic script. We play some role that we like to fit and never admit that we're full of it and live life in some sort of dazed hallucination. I'll never lament because life is brief. Our bodies are changing like the autumn leaf. It says that time is the greatest thief and beats and cheats this entire population.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Good morning. Happy birthday. Anyway, the point is, there's a tendency. You don't do this because you're not a jerk, but I tend to be like, it's my birthday. Oh man, no one made me any coffee. It's my birthday, and no one did this. Or like, I gotta take out the garbage. It's my birthday. You know, and I'm just like complaining. It just makes me a bigger complainer on my birthday because I have massive expectations. And you know when it's my birthday, I'm letting the Maras knows. Like I'm letting people know weeks ahead of time. Oh, my birthday's coming. I do it in jest, and I'm totally dead serious. But you're not like that. You have a natural Vaishnav tendency on your birthday. It's the opposite. Like what happens when we're in India? Kaustubha, what happens on our birthdays? Tell the people.
I don't know. Wait.
Is it a birthday party? We all sit around? No. You sponsor
in India in general.
Feast, right?
Okay,
you sponsor a feast.
Oh.
And you serve prasad to all the devotees. You give on your birthday. You appreciate your mom. Like, why hasn't mom called me? It's my birthday. It's like, why don't you call your mom? She's laid on her back, carried you around for 9 months. Call your mom on your birthday. Come on.
Right.
I'm going to ask you, Kaustubha, to call your mom today.
Okay.
He's like, I'm not going to. All right. Are you going to do it?
Maybe
he does this to me all the time, doesn't he? Are you going to do it? Are you going to call your mom?
What do I do to you? I never do that. I never tell you.
No, he won't answer. Call your mom.
I may call my mom. Maybe she'll call me. You know.
Call your mom and say, you know what? I just want to say thank you.
I'll call my mom.
I just want you to say. I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you.
I'll do that. But you know, I got a really great. We got a great message. But who wrote it? Did you see it, Mara? I'm trying to remember where it got sent.
A birthday message?
It may have got sent to like wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. But someone wrote in it was someone who was in Chaturatma Prabhu's Sage group, right? You know, Chaturatma Prabhu did you know he's a Sage group leader, Raghunath?
Yeah. I want to be in his Sage group. Whoever's in Chaturatma's Sage group is a lucky duck.
That's going to be a fun one, right?
Oh, he's fun. He's learned. He's kind. He was one of the first people, Chaturatma. Do we have him on the show yet?
We did. He talked about the 6 Goswamis and all that.
Oh, yeah. He's one of those persons that you really want to meet when you're a new devotee. You're like, oh, this guy's normal, cool, funny, good looking. You know what I mean? Whereas like you can meet some like stylish. You can meet some real sort of like peculiar people at an ashram when you wander in. And he was like a warm embrace when I met him.
He is. And so someone from his Sage group, I'm seeing if I can pull it up right now. Who was it that wrote that? I can't find it.
Michelle Berger says every year on her birthday, she calls her mom and says, Happy Labor Day. That's cute.
I get it. So in any case, we got a message, Raghunath, that said that on behalf, that they saw that it was my birthday, and they also recognized that your birthday recently passed. And then on behalf of you and I, this Sage group, they donated to feed the cows.
What?
It was either at Eco Village or in Vrindavan, but on our behalf, in our name, the cows are being fed today in Vrindavan, Raghunath.
Right before they plunged me to hell on my deathbed, they're like, wait a second, saved a cow somewhere. Someone donated for a cow for this guy.
Yeah, so that
and
was
it's
nice.
Bunky's birthday month too. Bunky, I'm going to give you a little shout out.
Bunky?
In the background.
Okay. When is Bunky's birthday?
The 16th.
Okay.
It passed.
Gita Priest's birthday's coming up too.
When's hers?
Hey, maybe we'll all be together in Cartagena for that.
Cartagena. We're going to Cartagena.
Will you be there on the 7th?
I don't know.
No,
we fly out now.
Oh, okay. Anyway, thank you for reading that song, Raghunath.
Yeah. You're welcome. You want to hear a quote by David Bowie for about birthdays, my friend?
That's a nugget?
I'd call it a nug.
Okay.
David Bowie. Oh, man, I got a really great song text message. Kaustubha. Okay, here's David Bowie, and he was known for his wisdom. Is he still alive?
No, he passed away some years ago.
Mary's like, yeah, of course.
Mary,
Gave me that. You gave me like you gave me that you idiot face, and you were wrong.
No, maybe she.
Oh, Yvette was born on the 14th. Yvette Elizabeth.
Okay.
8 and Makuna Kishore. Okay, they're all got January people. Maybe it wouldn't be weird if everybody in the show was born in January. Like what? And we're just realizing it.
Papa Tony was born in January.
What? When?
January 1st.
Oh, that's right. January 1st, Papa Tony.
Mm.
Okay, this is getting weird. Aging, this is David Bowie. Aging is an extraordinary process where you become the person you always should have been.
Mm. Do you find that
Grumpy?
to happen in your life, Raghunath?
No,
You
not really.
Is aging helping you
Well,
become the
maybe
person
if
that
you're
you
on a
always should
spiritual
have
path, you could just become grumpy, old, and smelly. I'm actually
Yeah.
becoming both of those. I think I'm becoming a little bit more of what I should be and a little grumpier, slightly older, and in all honesty, slightly smellier.
I think that there's some truth in what David Bowie is saying there. That
Tell me.
Well, just that, the age, and you're right. Like if you have no kind of spiritual insight, it could just make you ornery, right?
Yeah.
But,
Bitter.
Bitter. But
Mad at the world.
Mad at the world. but if you do have some spiritual contemplation going on, then that aging actually can really assist. The senses begin to become weaker.
Yeah.
And it has this ability to hopefully like make you a little more humble, right? It's kind of like putting up the facade of being cool, being sexy, being hip, being whatever, strong, beautiful.
There was
all those things you start to let go of,
There was a meme where like some guy, probably my age, some guy like older, a little out of shape, mowing the lawn in his like crazy underwear. And it says something like, at a certain age, you just don't care anymore.
Well, I'm not talking about losing all dignity. Okay. That's not what I mean.
Well, I mean, yeah, there comes to a point in your life where you're like, I'm over trying to impress people,
Yeah, or trying to maintain the facade, right? Like hopefully you start to let go of that, and you get some, and humility is really the key, Humility, I believe humility is the key to begin to understand life. It's without that, you're spending your whole life trying to prop up a facade or an illusion. Humility is, that opens the door, and aging can help us become humble, I think.
Humility opens the door. Prabhu, you know what I'm thinking also? It's like if I've spent my life dedicated as a materialist, meaning my only pleasure is really to enjoy my senses, eating, sleeping, mating, that's all. Then what happens is we get very attached to this vehicle as our pathway to pleasure. And we start identifying it with us. Like, I am my beauty. I am my strength. I am my abs. Or however else. So as the body ages, it can perform less of those things.
Mm-hmm.
The eating appetite goes down. I just can't eat as I can say for myself. I can't eat as much as I used to eat. And if I do eat the way I ate, I would you see it immediately, right? I start to eat a calzone. I start to look like a calzone. It happens. One of those foods you take on the form of. And then there is, then there is, your sexual appetite decreases. All those things, the appetites of the body become less. Now, if I'm a spiritualist, I was like, all right, you know what?
This is good.
It's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It helps me in my spiritual growth. If that's what I think I am, then it's like, this is the most frustrating thing ever.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it's terrifying. You're losing all your currency. It's like the stock market's crash. Your currency becomes like Confederate money. But we have a different currency in Bhakti. Our currency is our spiritual life, our internal relationship with our source, with our higher power. That is a strength of our currency. How we treat how we treat ourselves, how we treat others, our contribution in the world. That gives us value and worth.
I'm with you. I know. I remember years ago you and I saying that. Like teaching yoga, and by that meaning teaching not asana included, but just like yoga philosophy and all of that, that having that role, it actually just gets better as you get older, right? It's like as you get older, you should just be better and better and better and better at it. And it's not the kind of thing like, for instance, like your career as a musician, it gets harder as you get older. It gets harder to tour. It gets, but maybe it's even harder to be inspired to write the kind of songs, feel the same kind of angst, you felt.
Yeah, I know. I'm not that angry anymore. It's a problem with me on stage. I'm like smiling all the time.
Yeah. But and I like what you're saying. If we all understood what the purpose of life was, we'd understand that this aging thing is working for us, But because we, we identify with the body, and we feel it's working against us. So, like all the things you're saying, like for instance, losing one's sexual appetite, right? That's a huge spiritual blessing. But like a materialist thinks, oh my God, this is terrible. I need drugs. I need therapy. I need something.
Right. I need some type of drug. I need something.
Yeah.
That's what this drugs is.
Or like older people, like sometimes
Viagra.
Sometimes older people have trouble like sleeping. Like they wake up really early. They want to fall. This is great. It's like I need to sleep less. That's a good thing.
Right.
This is helpful. And even things like even things like in one sense are clearly problematic or actually helpful. Like say my digestive system is not as strong as it used to be. And that's going to be a problem if I still want to eat all the same foods. But if I'm forced to simplify my diet, that can also be like very...
Simplifying your diet simplifies the mind. Because stupid, another thing is, as you age, you become a little bit more cynical. Now, materialists become very cynical because, in fact, everything they've invested in has fallen apart. You start to look at relationships and you feel, oh, that was a broken relationship, perhaps, or that person did me wrong, or that person... You create a list, perhaps, of where you've been wronged. As a spiritualist, we learn a healthy cynicism of the material world, material relationships, that of the time factor. We become cynical of the material world and more hopeful for our spiritual life. So I think bitterness in its purest form is like sort of like, what was I joking? It was silly. I was investing in matter. What was I expecting?
Right. And I think our societies, we're the way that we're set up now because the identification with the body has become so strong, and because that's become hyper, intensified through modern forms of media. Right, beginning in, I don't know, the 50s or 60s or something like that, right? Where television, and film, and all these things, and the broadcasting of sports, and so many things add up to our heroes being young people, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of like
that.
Sick of that. There's that cynicism.
But it breaks my heart when I'm watching a football game. I'm like, the guy's 22. What the hell have I done with my life?
So we don't really value the elders, and the fact is, if the elders don't have anything to offer, what value do they have, right? If they don't have any wisdom to put forward, what value do they have? But really, society is supposed to be that way. With the elders, they naturally have the wisdom. They naturally know what you don't know and what you need to know to get through life better.
I'm with you. You know who I like? I like Papa Tony. Papa Tony's one of our regular Zoomers. He's Mara's dad, and we never really hung out that much until like right before we left here. Papa Tony's great. And we got to get him on a walk on Wednesday. Yeah, Papa Tony. Papa Tony, put us on your list. Walk on Wednesday. We're going to get you. He's wise. He's deep. He's thoughtful. And he listens to the show every day. And he's sweet like anything. And he's got like a lot of life experience.
Okay, and let's get Papa Tony sharing some wisdom on here.
Yeah.
He looks like a sage. No question.
He does. He's a sage group in himself.
Okay.
And anyway, by the way, if you're listening out there, we have a live show. A lot of people are there. We call them others. People we don't see that just like, check out podcasts or scrolling through podcasts. And wisdom of the sages. I could use some wisdom. And they listen to it. Guess what? We do this live every day. You can join us live. We can see your face. You can see our pretty faces. And you can join us here. You just got to email Mara, our assistant, producer. Did I just demote you to assistant? Sorry. Our executive producer. I mean, did I say assistant? Wisdom of the Sages 108@gmail.com. And you can get the secret codes to enter our Zoom group. And speaking of Zoom group, Gayanel, who's listening, said his birthday is on the 11th. That's the same as me, Gayanel. What do you think of that? I love it. When there's a person with the same birthday as me, I was like, you are so special. Oh, I'm sick of that statue next to you, Kaustubha. Let's get into the Bhagavatam.
Raghunath, careful. You see, we talk about not offending great souls. You don't even know who you're talking about here.
Do they even know what St. Francis looked like?
Yes, they do. Like they had like people who were able to draw
Photographs
and
of him.
paint.
How old is he? How old is St. Francis?
He's, I think, about 800 years ago he lived, something like
They
that.
don't know what he looked like. All right. Krishna is different. All right. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human beings, and Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyanat Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Midatamnena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
Right
Mara,
there.
hit it.
Reading from
In the mic.
Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 25.
Text 25.
How was the interview yesterday, Kaustubha?
Oh, you know, he's just such a special person, you know, spiritual scientist Chaitanya Charan. We talked about the difference between religion
Spirit
and
matter.
spirituality.
Oh, that's a great topic, religion and spirituality.
Yeah, I really recommend people check that out, because the idea is, you know, people use that phrase a lot. I should have dug it up for that interview, but there's some statistic that talks about, like, you know, current statistic about how people in the United States, like the percentage of them that, I think for the first time, there's like the majority in America does not identify with any particular religious institution or something like that.
And now we got to step in. That's our cue.
and there's a ever growing, I think it's about 30% now or something like that, that identify as spiritual but not religious. But what does it mean? You know, what does that really mean?
What does it
so
mean?
We discussed
it's
that.
just sort of vague. It means
It can be, yeah. So we dug
it
into
probably
it.
sounds better. It could be. Anyway, I'm not gonna. Let's go into this.
We dug into it, so I really recommend. That was episode, what, 649?
Yeah, 649.
Today's 650, Raghu.
Oh, sick. Oh, we're supposed to do something. I guess it's your birthday. I guess that's special.
Okay, all right.
Vivi goes, we were so close to starting the Srimad Bhagavatam.
That was called a last-second squirrel.
Last minute squirrel. Yeah, she called it out.
Okay, so let's get going. What's going on here, Raghunath? Why don't you do the summary today?
We're wrapping up our Kirtan Academy. That's what's going on. It's our last day.
That was called another squirrel. Just
Oh, okay. Text 25. When
Well,
Lord
what is-
Vishnu...
but what's going on? That's my point. What's going on?
I don't remember. This happened Friday.
I'll tell you what happened. What's happening?
You're our Cliff Note man.
And you know,
Tell
this
us where we
ties
are.
in, Raghunath. This ties in because look, you know, when we say like the David Bowie nugget that we just read, right? That aging helps make you that person that you were always meant to be. It's not just aging. It's like what you go through as you age, right? It's like aging means it puts you through like trauma and stuff. You know, it's like
Life is traumatic, even if you've got a silver spoon in your mouth.
And he did,
know what I
in
mean?
one sense. Yeah, like
What?
like Daksha did. Like Daksha, you know, like
He had a silver spoon?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, certainly he had lots of what
Sure.
everybody's wanting. He had fame, he had prestige, he had wealth, he had beauty, he had, you know, a beautiful family. You know, he had, you know, just like the your daughter, right?
Yeah.
Sachi. So like, having her around for you is like, it brings so much love into your life, right? Isn't it? It's like she brightens up your life. He had 16 beautiful daughters,
Sure.
He had, beautiful, a beautiful wife. He had what
Respect in the community.
big time respect, big time prestige. But all of that, what it fostered in him was a sense of pride, and it grew and it grew and it grew it to the point where he became very blind. And we were talking about this, like spirituality and religion. He had his religion was going really strong. He was rigid in how he followed all the principles and the regulations and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But on the spiritual end, the actual spiritual depth, he was lacking, big time. And the whole thing exploded into this massive trauma, right? His daughter committed suicide right in front of him publicly. All right.
Yeah.
His big religious ceremony that, in a sense he sees as his ticket to prestige, got completely turned upside down, got completely demolished. And then he had his own head cut off right on top of it all.
Yeah.
Right. So now he's been revived. He's been brought back. And the person that he had all his animosity focused at was Shiva. And we read on Friday how he was crying tears. Now he's come back. He's crying tears. And with real sincerity from the heart, he's expressed to Shiva, the punishment that you gave me, I deserved it. Thank you for that. I was so blind. Now that's like, how they say sometimes you go through something and it ages you fast?
Yeah.
Like you go through some trauma in life and it ages you. Well, I think that's what's happened to Daksha. It was like the whole thing was so traumatic that it's almost like you become, aging makes you weaker. And in a sense, he's become weaker in his efforts to maintain his false prestige. And that's a good thing. And now he's opening up and he's speaking. And so he just offered a couple prayers to Lord Shiva on Friday. And then now he's going to turn to Lord Vishnu, who's just appeared. And he's going to offer some prayers. Now, but this is great because this is one of those places, Raghu. I think you and I have shared this. Both of us have this feeling that when we were young, it's another aging thing. Look at this. When we were younger, we used to read Bhagavatam and Krishna book and so on. And there's a story, and the story is exciting. And then you get to this point, almost every story it opens up and there's these prayers. And it's kind of like, okay, let's, the prayers aren't quite as exciting. Yeah, let's get to the exciting stuff. But, I'm beginning to feel more like the story is just there to frame the prayers. And all the nectar comes out in these prayers.
Yeah.
And
I'm really into the prayers, going through 10th canto, going through those prayers.
Yeah. And
prayers
so what's
of Indra, prayers of Brahma, prayers of Gajendra.
So many.
Right? The prayers of Queen Kunti.
Prayers of the Vedas, personified Vedas.
The Gopi Gita, the prayers of the
Gita.
right? The song of the flute.
Yeah. Sudama Brahmana, so many.
So many prayers.
And so here what's going to happen is this is like a variety show of prayers because everybody that's at that gathering is going to go one by one. Each one of them is going to do one verse and everyone's going to offer their prayer, And they're very interesting. Everybody's got a different angle.
Okay.
But
let's get some prayers in.
Yeah. Now we'll start with text 25.
I think 2021 aged me. I think I was younger. I think 2020 aged me too.
Oh, 2021.
I mean, really aged me, like accelerated. Like, you have superfoods, you have like a super aging year.
Yeah. I think a lot of people felt that way.
Yeah. When Lord Vishnu accepted the oblations offered in the sacrifice, Daksha, the Prajapati means like a progenitor, began with great pleasure to offer respectful prayers unto him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is actually the master of the sacrifice, right? He's what's that mean? Yajneshwar, the master of sacrifices.
Let's see what word is used here.
I just made that up. But...
Yajneshwaram.
Whoa!
You got it.
I'm a pundit. and the preceptor of all Prajapatis, and he is served even by such personalities as Nanda and Sunanda.
Nanda and Sunanda. Do you know who Nanda and Sunanda are?
Nanda. I was thinking of the teachers of Prahlad, but that was Nanda and Sumarka.
Yeah, Nanda and Sunanda. You know, I think they're
Shiva's
mentioned,
attendants.
Not Shiva's, Vishnu's. We see them appear at different times. Like, for instance, when the airplane comes down to pick up the next. I think at the next chapter we get into Dhruva, story of Dhruva, which is this another really great part.
All right,
yeah,
let's go.
But at the end where Dhruva gets a bit of a spoiler here, but in the end Dhruva goes back to the spiritual world, and this airplane comes for him, and as he's on that airplane, it's Nanda and Sunanda. Like, I think they're just considered very intimate associates and servitors of Lord Vishnu. They appear to him, and also we're in Akrura when he picked up Krishna and Balaram, and when he went into the water and bathed, you know, he saw Krishna and Balaram, but then he saw Lord Vishnu appear, and he saw Nanda and Sunanda with him. I think they're very the very close, intimate associates of Lord Vishnu and Vaikuntha.
I wonder if when the airplane came for Dhruva, if he got to board early because he was a child.
He wasn't a child anymore at that point.
He wasn't. He wasn't 5 when he got. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Boarding group 1.
But he was concerned about his mother. He's like, hold it, where's my mother?
I've been here since I was 5 years old. There was a delay. Okay, Daksha addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, you are a transcendental to all speculative positions. You are completely spiritual, devoid of all fear, and you're always in control of the material energy. Even though you appear in your material energy, you are situated transcendentally. You are always free from the material contamination because you are completely self-sufficient.
Let's every word of that was like important. I know you're ready to run on to the next one. But what I like to try to do when I read this chapter is try to understand, like, everyone's got their angle, right? Like Daksha, he just went through a lot of stuff. Does that have something to do with what he's expressing right here? And then we're going to hear from the next group and what's their angle, you know. But he says, you're transcendental to all speculative positions. You are completely spiritual, devoid of all fear. I mean, he's just gone through, you know, a very fearful episode. And you are always in control of the material energy. We all think that we are the Ishvara, right?
We're trying to make so many arrangements for our pleasure. Yeah. Like I'm asking Papa Tony before the show, I was like, what's the temperature? Well, is it getting warmer there? Maybe I can like delay my flight till it gets a little warmer, right? Like I'm going to control the temperature. We have such limited control. And that's what modern technology does. It tries to make us control more and more and more. And then we cut off and we have that option to try to desperately control the material world, or we just become tolerant. And there's probably a healthy balance between the two. Yeah. Like we want to try to get rid of disease. We want to try, right? We want to try to have crops in the winter or food to eat in the winter. We want to be able to build, you know, we have to exert some control. At a certain
point, you just decide, I'll starve.
At a certain point,
try to get food to a certain degree.
I'm going to fast through the winter.
Yeah. But you know, here he goes on, he says, you are completely spiritual, devoid of all fear, and you are always in control of the material energy. Even though you appear in the material energy, you are situated transcendentally. So I try to, Daksha, right? Of all the people in the universe that had like some degree of control, he seems to be way up there, like high on the list. And he's saying, actually, what control do I have? I just watched all my control just slip away. You know, I had no control. Yeah. You are always under control. And even though you appear in the material energy, the material energy is always moving, it's always shifting. One minute we're at the top of the wave, and the next minute we're coming down and we're crashing, and now he's been aged through this trauma, and he's recognizing, Lord Vishnu, you're different, right? You're not like the rest of us here struggling in this material world. You're always in control of the material energy. It is your energy, and you control it. And even though you appear within it, you're situated always transcendentally. What's an analogy for that, Raghunath?
Spider web. Spider in the spider web. In this world, not of this world. Baby Jesus.
I was not thinking of baby
No,
Jesus.
you weren't
I don't know how
thinking
that
baby
applies
Jesus.
at all.
Oil and vinegar.
Oil
They're
and
situated.
vinegar.
The oil is in the vinegar, yet it retains like a bubble of oil.
Okay.
Lotus
Oil
flower
and vinegar.
or lotus flower
Oh, lotus
in the
flower's a good
mud.
one. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I was thinking of one that's I think will be even tighter. When you hear it, I think you're gonna appreciate it. I think if I gave you enough time, you'd come up with this one, Raghunath.
Better than the lotus flower? Come on.
Try one more.
Come on.
Well, let me read it again and think deeply, okay? Even though you appear in the material energy, you are situated transcendentally.
Mara, I'm going to pass this one to Mara today.
The sun.
The sun.
Oh, I was thinking
Sun?
the sun.
Why don't you just tell us? This is getting humiliating. This is humiliating at this point.
Well, I was thinking like the prison warden inside the prison.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Prison
Right?
warden. I've
Right,
used that
because, like,
analogy before.
It's the person that controls. You have used it, right?
Yeah, he goes into the
why I
prison,
thought you
but
might
he's not
get it.
bound by the rules of the prison.
Yeah,
That's a great one.
He actually controls the prison, and he's in the prison. But you might look at him and say, "Well, he's in the prison too." Yeah, well, he's in the prison, but he's transcendental to the prison.
He
He's
can
not
also get
bound
out
by
of the
it.
prison.
He can get out
can
anytime
walk
he wants.
home,
He's
he can go
controlling the
home.
prison. Yeah, he could
He
get
can
you
go
out
to
of the
Kir-
prison if he wants to.
Yeah, he
That-
can go home, have a kirtan.
Yeah. Okay. So he's recognizing Vishnu like that. He's saying right now, right? We talked about religion, and religion means you can do like a lot of rituals and chant a lot of prayers that say a lot of things that are truth, but not even feel them, right? You're doing it mechanically. But now he's feeling it, right? And so like all the hymns from the Vedas that are glorifying Lord Vishnu and so on, he may have been doing that in the past in his religious context, but not really feeling it because he had pride. Now that pride's been crushed, right, by the shifting of the material energy.
By the
And-
aging process.
Yeah, you're right. And now he's saying with more conviction than he ever said before, right? He may have been chanting the hymns of the Vedas mechanically before, but what's coming out of his mouth now, due to this, see how he grew from the traumatic circumstances he went through. Now he's saying with tears in his eyes, and he's saying for real, Lord Vishnu, you're not like me, right? I think I control the material energy, and then I get humiliated. You're always in control of the material energy, and you're situated beyond. Even though you come in it, you're always transcendental to it. I get it now. I understand who you are. I understand who I am, and that's called sambandha gyana, or like understanding the nature of the relationship. And without that, I mean, that's where spiritual life really. I mean, without that, it doesn't open up in the same way. Because if I think I am God, or I'm as good as Lord Vishnu, right? You know, I just need to realize it. You know. The truth is never established. So he's realized it now. I've realized, you know, who I am in relation to you. That's a big step.
Okay, text 20. I'm gonna move on. That was very
Okay.
good. Text 27.
Yeah. Now the priests are going to speak.
The priests are going to talk now. The priests address the Lord, saying, "O Lord, transcendental to material contamination, by the curse offered by Lord Shiva's men, we have become attached to fruitive activities, and thus we are now fallen, and therefore do not know anything about you. On the contrary, we are now involved in the injunctions of the three departments of Vedic knowledge under the plea of executing rituals in the name of yajna. We know that you have made arrangements for distributing the respective shares of the demigods." Right? So first they were just performing these Vedic sacrifices that have a lot to do with, I'm doing some religious work and I get some religious, kickback,
Payback. Yeah.
payback from
Yeah,
the
so-
gods.
And it's interesting because he says, because of the curse offered by Lord Shiva's men, we have become attached to fruitive activities. And again, let's be clear what fruitive activities means. My religious practice is I worship God or the gods to get something of this world. That's my motive.
What's
Fruitive
that?
activities. What's what?
I don't know.
What?
I need to become. What's that verse from the Bhagavad Gita that immediately Krishna comes out of the gate saying that, I think it's in the second chapter. He speaks about these following the Vedas.
Yam
fruitive
imam
activities.
pushpitam vacham pravadanti
Panditji.
vapishtita veda vada rata parta
Freaking
nanyad astiti vandina, men of small
hit that
knowledge
out
who are
of the
very much.
park.
Is that the one you're looking for?
Yeah. Hit me.
Men of small knowledge who are very much attached to the flowery words of are very much attached to the flowery words of Vedas, and they say that there's nothing more than this.
Yeah.
Raghunath, I got news for you. You're thinking like Srila
I'm thinking like Prabhupada.
Yeah.
You're kidding. I didn't look at the purport, man. You know me. I don't study ahead.
Open it up.
What you get, you just get. It just comes from my heart.
That's what you see. Through aging, you're becoming the person you always should have been.
Ooh, David Bowie.
David Bowie.
I've
You
got
want
a
to read the
little
purport?
David Bowie deity that I worship.
You want to read the commentary?
Yeah, Mara's clicking it open right now. Here's the commentary. This is crazy, man. The Vedas are known as Trigunya Vishaya Veda 245. This is a Krishna miracle. Those who are serious students of the Vedas are very much attached to the ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas. And therefore, these Vedavadis cannot, you're such a Vedavadi. It's like a put down. You Vedavadi cannot understand that the ultimate goal of the Vedas is to understand Lord Krishna or Vishnu. You know, this is interesting because, you know, when we are new devotees and we read stuff like this, like, what are they talking about? Vedavadis. But if you live in India, if you grow up in India, you'll know there's people like this. They get into the rituals in the name of religion. I guess we have it here. We have the religions. We have the rituals.
It's just not as clearly defined.
It's just not as clearly defined. And we're missing the point. Bhagavatam, out of all the Vedic scriptures, you know, it brings you back to the essence. It's the big why we're in this in the first place. Okay, let me continue here. Those who have transcended the qualitative Vedic attractions, however, can understand Krishna, who is never contaminated by material qualities. Therefore, Lord Vishnu is addressed as Anagyana, free from material contamination.
Ananjana.
In the Bhagavad Gita 242, the crude Vedic scholars have been deprecated by Krishna. So Krishna's taken a shot at the great Vedic scholars. He says, Yam imam pushpitam bacham pravadant avipashitaha vedavada rataparta nanyad astiti vandina. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas. And they say that there is nothing more than this.
Okay. So all of this relates to two things. It relates to the conversation we just had yesterday with Chaitanya Charan, the spiritual scientist, about the difference between religion and spirituality. And it also relates to that course I gave that Patreon members can check out, which was how the Srimad Bhagavatam clarifies everything. But, what's going on here, Raghunath? That we open up the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, I don't know what to do in life. Please point the path out to me, Lord Krishna. And right off the bat, Lord Krishna starts criticizing the Vedas. But aren't the Vedas, like, good?
This is where it's all coming from. This is the source.
Yeah, so, like, aren't the Vedas a good thing? But, well, what's the idea here is that within Vyasadeva's larger Vedic teachings, right? You could use the word Vedic in two senses, right? Like, let's say we're talking about the Vedic literature. When we say the Vedas, in a precise way, the Vedas means the four Vedas. Right? Or you could be speaking about the broader Vedic literature. But here we're speaking about the four Vedas. And these priests who perform ritual for the purpose of receiving some material benefit, that's what these books emphasize. And so what Krishna is doing is he's criticizing that mentality. He's saying you need to go from, in a sense, he's opening up Bhagavad Gita by telling Arjuna, you're stuck on the religious level. You got to get to the spiritual level, right?
Suppose I'm in LA and you say, look, you got to go to the Bhakti Center. You got to get there quick. That's the path. That's where I'm going to get to the Bhakti Center at 25 First Avenue. So I get in my car and I stop off in Scranton. And I'm just hanging in Scranton. No, you got to keep moving. And then you say, well, you're right. I got to get more Vedic. I'm going to stop off in the Bronx and I'm here. And I've said, well, where are you? I'm in the Bronx. You said come to New York. No. I said come to 25 First Avenue, New York. It's different than the Bronx. You can't just be hanging out in the Bronx. So the idea is there is a specific thing within Vedic thought where we're even supposed to be going. If we just imbibe the Vedas, and people will criticize too, Someone was criticizing us recently, saying, you guys think that you know everything. No, it's Vedic thought. It's Vedic thought. Vedic thought can raise the consciousness to sattva. We accept that. Vedic thought says God is personal and impersonal. But Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, which is like the gold standard of Vedic truth, everybody accepts the Gita. Krishna is accepting, look, at this point, you can abandon Dharma. You can abandon the Vedas and just surrender to me. I'm not saying it. I don't care what you do. We're just talking. We're just explaining what Krishna's saying. You do whatever you want.
Right.
You can get to the mode of goodness. You can play metaphysical bargaining with the demigods. I'll give you some pujas. I'll give you some yajna. I'll wear a jewel on my hand. Please make this a malefic planet I got that's screwing up my love life and my fortune go away. That's not what Krishna's talking about. Krishna say you could throw it all out if you're missing the essence, or else you're still going to be caught in this cycle of birth and death in the spider web material life.
That's right. We're not saying it. Krishna says it.
I'm not
right
saying
there in the Bhagavad Gita. This is where the whole Bhagavad Gita is based on this point, practically, right?
The whole Bhagavad Gita is based on this point.
Yeah, that's why we say Bhagavatam's clarifying everything, because it's making the point again here. Bhagavatam's making a point here. Prabhupada's saying, hey, look, the Gita makes the same point, right? This is where all this literature is moving towards. So listen to what the priests say, right? There's a reason why Vyasadeva is including all of this, because he wrote the Vedas and people got stuck on it thinking that's the highest thing. He was feeling despondent. His guru said, you got to go and clarify everything. Therefore, he went and revised the Bhagavatam. Now we're reading Bhagavatam. Here's the message, right? You have a bunch of priests. These are Vedic priests. These aren't ordinary, run-of-the-mill priests. These are Daksha's priests. These are like super high-level Vedic followers, right?
Yeah.
Their expertise, their dedication, their rigidness in following regulation is like top-notch, but it's just all pointed in the wrong direction. They're doing it for material things rather than for the higher spiritual goal. So they got stuck in Scranton. And so the priests, and they say it right here, they say, they're praying to Lord Vishnu, and they're saying, now remember, the previous chapter, when all this cursing and counter-cursing went on, remember that, Raghunath?
Yep, that was good.
And Lord Shiva, I was excited. And Lord Shiva's followers, they cursed the Brahmanas that they would just become attached to fruitive activities and never go deeper in spiritual life. And so they say that right now, because the curse offered by Lord Shiva's men, we have become attached to fruitive activities, and thus we are now fallen, and therefore, and now we can take this little part and put it in quotes. We've become, we're attached to fruitive activities. We become fallen. In a sense, we become blind. And therefore, we do not know anything about you. Right? That's the spiritual side. Your connection with God is like the spiritual side, right? Not wanting the things of this world from God, but your personal connection to God. And they're saying because we become attached to this one part of the Veda, the earlier instructions, we got stuck in Scranton. And we
stuck in Scranton. That's
the
a t-shirt.
They're stuck in Scranton. And so they're saying
she's writing it down, by the way.
She's stuck in Scranton.
Don't get stuck in Scranton.
So it's that point is here. Vyasadeva, who wrote the Vedic literatures, right? He wrote all that. He's saying,
why don't they criticize Vyasadeva? Why don't they criticize Krishna? Krishna said it.
Krishna said it. And so then Prabhupada comes here and he says, right at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, right in the second chapter, Krishna's right on this point with Arjuna. Arjuna, you're talking about will my actions bring me material happiness or material distress? And he's saying you need to get beyond that, right? That's a person that's much deeper. They just say, this is all Krishna's energy. Let me just act in connection with God at every moment. Let my awareness always be absorbed in God at every moment. That's called spirituality. And Krishna's telling Arjuna, you're just caught up on the material level. The Vedas teach about that. Men of small knowledge become very attached to that part of the Vedas. I'm asking you to go beyond that. And we'll find that in the teachings of the Gita and in the teachings of the Upanishad.
Krishna is the heretic, huh? Krishna is the real heretic. He's like, ignore the Vedas, or not ignore the Vedas, but reject the Vedas, go higher, abandon Dharma. Krishna says abandon Dharma. What?
That's exactly the point, right? He starts the Gita there, he ends the Gita there, right?
He starts it there. People who follow the Vedas, their fruits are limited and worshiping the demigods.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Krishna said
I didn't say don't worship the demigods. Krishna said it. He's Yogeshwar. Don't give me this. Are these people giving people problems for having someone on the, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but somebody, one of our yoga studio owners had a picture of Krishna on the altar of the yoga studio, and they gave her hell. They gave her hell for it.
Like her staff. Her
staff gave her hell. What is this Krishna? Krishna's Yogeshwar. You want to kick Krishna out of yoga? Come on.
Come on.
Kick Krishna out of yoga? That's like me going to Kaustubha's house, eating all his food, and Mara going, hey, where'd you get all this food from? It's just here. And Kaustubha goes, what do you do to my house? I'm like, get out of here. It's my house. It's Krishna's house. Come on.
That's true. That's true. And then as you mentioned, he ends it there by saying Sarvadharman Parityajya. What does that mean? It means let go of all of the materialistic end of the Vedic teachings, all the dharmas that are found there. And
there's so many dharmas when you're a parent, where you're a teacher, where you're a king, where you're a servant. There's so much dharma we have. Let it all go. And you see that, right? You see that in Bhakti. You see like the kingly people, the poorest of people, the wisest, the teachers, the students, all dancing together.
Mm-hmm. Dancing together. Very
St.
poetic.
Francis dancing with you there in the other room. Malibu Mara dancing. All right.
I think that's it for today, huh?
That's it. What's our takeaways?
All right. Humility is the key. Let go of the facade.
Let go of my ego. That's one, too. Let go of my ego.
The strength of our currency is how we treat others.
No one even knows what that is. Let go of my ego.
Oh, of course they do. Don't you think?
I don't know. I thought that was time stamped.
Americans.
Yeah. The strength of our currency is how we treat others and our relationship with divinity.
Ooh, I think I said that.
I think that was me.
Aging is working for our spiritual life if we don't identify with the body.
Yeah.
Develop a healthy cynicism of the material world and hope for the spiritual world.
Mm-hmm.
Develop healthy cinnamon. Got that.
We're trying to be controllers of the material world. Just be tolerant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bhagavatam brings it back to the essence.
Sure does.
Sure does.
Don't get stuck on the religious level. Upgrade to the spiritual level.
Yeah.
And,
wait, stuck inside Scranton.
And don't get stuck in Scranton.
To be stuck inside of Scranton with
the Bhakti Center Blues again.
That's a good song.
I never knew you were that big Dylan guy.
I was a Bob Dylan fan. Know all the Bob Dylan songs, man.
Yeah.
He almost became a devotee, I think, Bob Dylan. Did you ever hear that?
There's a whole long story. I know the whole story. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Who got Bob Dylan into Krishna?
Oh, I can go research it.
And who ruined it?
I don't think anybody ruined it. But something happened where some kind of person connected with.
Someone just told me this. Did you tell me it?
There was
Sorry.
I haven't said it yet, so I don't know. There was a devotee that was kind of living in the West Village, kind of got to know Bob Dylan casually, because there's just like, it's a small area and people get to know each other.
Yeah, Bob Dylan lived in West Village.
And then they were all going out to California together, and so these two devotees, him and his wife, I think, or his girlfriend, they drove Bob Dylan across the country, and the whole way they're just like talking about Krishna, and Bob Dylan was kind of getting into it. And but there's more to the story than that. We can go find it.
Where did we hear this story?
Yes, I've heard it for many years, but I finally saw like the whole extended full version of it written recently. It was interesting.
All right, maybe Bob. We need some famous. I wonder if you're a famous other out there, please write to us. We want to know who's.
Why don't we get Bob Dylan on the show? He just might do it. Go for it, Raghu.
All right, maybe we should get his son too. What was his name?
Jacob.
Peter Dylan.
Jacob
Dylan. Peter Dylan. Look at GVG life coaching. She's got it's like a puppet on her lap. This is my little puppet version of me.
Mini. You complete
we're gonna say we have a special day for Anna Siro today. We're gonna say the Maha Mantra for Anna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Special. It's the anniversary of her bone marrow transplant.
Oh wow!
You know that?
I didn't.
Let's say hello to some people we haven't seen today, Mara. Let's see who we got here. I go to the gallery. I take man. Okay. Now the show's what? You end the show by now?
Well, once you start saying hello to people, yeah.
Why?
Because if they're others and they don't care, they don't know what you're talking
Well, I don't know. They might like the fact that they meet others. The others might like to meet the people on the show.